Hello, I'm Brigantia Blackbird of Blackbird's Brew. Happy Thursday and welcome back to the Pagan Housewife. Let's get your ducks in a row. Now, you may be thinking that you have neither ducks nor a row, and that most days you are contending with a herd of squirrels. They are going in all directions, deaf to any input from you. But don't despair. You can create pockets of order within the chaos, even during the upcoming holiday season, even with so much going on in the world. The thing is to start with tasks that are closest at hand, whether it's just making the bed in the morning, or putting things away after you're done with them, or making sure the dishes are done before you go to bed at night. However small or seemingly insignificant the task, if it's done and you know that it isn't hanging over your head, that's one less bit of chaos in your immediate surroundings. So if you keep up with that, then the external world does become more manageable. Now, because the holiday season is upon us, that means the great task of relative wrangling beckons. This can be tricky even under ideal conditions. Just because people are related by blood or marriage does not mean that everyone who is assembled has compatible personalities. And sadly, there are occasions when a person does have to question whether or not they want to deal with certain family members at all. And this is extremely difficult, especially as pagans, because we know how much the idea of family is emphasized within the faith. But what happens if you have family members who are hostile towards your faith, or if politics has created such a rift amongst the family that people might as well be living on different planets? Excuse me. But the question really comes down to what's the difference between a relative who is merely irritating and gets on your nerves and one who is actually toxic and is detrimental to your well-being? It is not always straightforward, and after the past few years, I suspect a lot of people are yearning to limit their associations to people who they don't have to walk on eggshells around, and understandably so. And after all, who wants to be miserable at Thanksgiving or at Yule? Who wants to walk into a situation knowing they're not going to enjoy the occasion because there's just no mending the rift, or because if you hear the sound of that person's voice one more time, you may not be responsible for your actions? Obviously, there's not going to be a one-size-fits-all answer to these questions. And of course, our circumstances can change. Sometimes even people change. There is an argument in favor of periodically re-examining the situation if we feel inclined to distance ourselves from a particular relative. They might have had a little mental awakening, or maybe we have discovered better coping skills, or maybe the circumstances are different in such a way that people are acting different. We've got to make room for the possibilities that things may get eventually ironed out. Now, how I personally make these determinations, and again, this is a personal opinion, so take it as such with a pinch of salt, and knowing that it's not going to work for all people on this planet, etc., etc. But when I find myself or have found myself in these situations, I ask myself whether or not the problem meets the criteria of being abusive or being emotional manipulation, or if it's the result of excessive control issues. Obviously, if there's actual abuse involved, then that's just a flat no. No matter the relationship, abuse is not love, and such behavior cannot be tolerated, and the best way to make it stop is by no longer engaging with that person. Now, emotional manipulation, I want to make clear this is something that goes well beyond just making an emotional appeal. We're talking about family members. They should be able to appeal to our emotions. If they can't, there is something wrong. But when they are using your emotions against you, when they are twisting virtues around to make you the bad guy, and they want you to set aside your own well-being to accommodate their whims, 100% of the time, that's just not something that I personally choose to tolerate, nor can I find any reason to do so. And then, of course, excessive control issues are recognizable by someone's insistence that those who are in their circle must dance to their tune, and it's often accompanied by a refusal to take into consideration anyone else's needs or preferences. Oftentimes, I've observed that the people who do have these control issues also resort to emotional blackmail. Those situations never end well. The people who engage in this behavior, they have a very recognizable pattern, and it doesn't lead to a happy place. So again, this is not something I indulge. Now, on a happier note, When it comes to getting our ducks in a row, there's also the question of, is your home ready for the holidays? Whether you're attending a celebration at someone else's house or if you're hosting, your home still needs to be ready to go. It needs, of course, obviously, it needs to be properly cleaned and hopefully decorated in a way that's attractive to you, but it also needs to be functional. Specifically, your kitchen. Are things set up in a way that actually makes cooking easier and more efficient for you? And this is an important question whether you're taking care of the whole Thanksgiving dinner or if you're bringing a dish as a guest. The kitchen needs to be a place of productivity for you, not of stress. So before the games really begin, it may be worth your while to do a small reorganization or at least a small revamping, just so you don't find yourself having to spend extra time trying to find things or wondering if you actually do have everything you need in the pantry. Uh, Another thing that you might consider doing is creating your own personal good luck jar to keep in your kitchen to attract an extra dose of good fortune just to help everything go smoothly. Because nobody wants a disaster during holiday cooking. And if making a jar filled with spices that attract good fortune is all it takes to ward some of the worst away and to give you a confidence boost, then it's well worth the effort to do it. Some ingredients you might use that I've used in the past with great success are cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, ginger, cardamom, and cloves. Also, in the vein of housekeeping, have you made the house cozy? Are the extra blankets easily accessible? And have you gotten the winter clothes out of storage? This is especially important this year. I think by now we're all aware that our energy bills are not going to go down anytime soon, and we may soon be contending with other shortages on top of that. It is calming if we know that we have done everything that is within our power to be prepared for lower temperatures and possible challenges. It makes it easier to face the immediate future because it can give us greater confidence. And knowing that you can fend for yourself is a source of great power. That power can help fuel you through whatever circumstances you eventually have to contend with. The last aspect of getting the ducks in a row that I'll touch on in this video has to do with cultivating gratitude and being thankful for the people who are around you, for what you have, and what you're able to actively do. Bad things in this world are always going to exist, even when we have relatively easy times, which is not where we're at now. But the bad times in life are not the only things that are real. The good is just as real, and if anything, the good is of far greater importance. This may feel backwards because of so many messages we get through the media. They're just centered on examining why any and everything could possibly be wrong or go wrong or hurt someone's feelings, whether real or imagined. This is absolutely exhausting for the soul, and it breaks people down, and this is no time to allow ourselves to be broken. So looking for the good, being glad of it, is enormously strengthening, and it allows us to be of service to the people we care about. It helps us keep focused on what matters, and it trains our minds to recognize that the bad is but one moment in time, and our job is to sow the seeds for the next turning of the wheel. So those are just a few of my thoughts. Now I'd like to hear what you have to say on the subject. What do you do to feel more prepared? Are you taking any extra precautions this year because of all the uncertainty in the world? What are you up to? Tell me all about it in the comments section below. Or come visit me on Gilded. There's a link to join the group in the description box. Just click on it and we'll take you to our server. It's called Blackbird's Brew, and we'd be very happy to have you there and carry on some conversations. So I hope to see you soon, but that'll do it for this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.